Hey guys, it's Gary again. I just came across something, and I don't know how many days it's been out, but it's from Peter Schiff. Um, and if you don't know who he is, he's a financial analyst of some kind. So it came up on the topic of Trump wanting to come up with a Bitcoin reserve. And this is what it looks like. It's a tweet. Is what it says. It says, if the U.S. government actually established a Bitcoin reserve and bought 1 million Bitcoin, it might end up buying millions more. Since the U.S. government's purchase of 1 million Bitcoin would drive the price so high, many holders, then worth millions or billions, would finally begin cashing out to spend their windfalls. Excuse me. That would cause the market to crash, forcing the U.S. government to print even more dollars to buy more Bitcoin to preserve the price from crashing, thereby diminishing the value of its Bitcoin reserve. Of course, a reserve of something you can never sell and must continuously buy is worthless as a reserve. To maintain the pretense that its Bitcoin reserve has actual value, the U.S. government would be forced to keep buying, destroying the value of the dollar in the process. This would mean Bitcoin prices would keep rising. The U.S. government would have to print even more money to buy more Bitcoin. Ultimately, so many dollars would be printed to buy Bitcoin that the U.S. would experience hyperinflation, rendering the dollar completely worthless. Once the dollar is worthless, the U.S. could no longer keep buying Bitcoin. Instead, it would have to sell all the Bitcoin it holds to try to pay its bills, leading to the complete collapse of Bitcoin. In the end, Bitcoin would have succeeded in destroying the dollar, but the victory would be short-lived, as Bitcoin would be destroyed along with it. At least those who sold to the U.S. government to buy real estate assets would be rich. The people who never sold their Bitcoins or kept their savings would be completely wiped out. Period. So, yeah, Trump has said he's a pro-crypto president, and that's all fine and dandy. You know, I really honestly think I'm in crypto, just to be transparent, and I honestly think that, look, the stock market's risky. If people want to try an alternative way to purchase goods or services, hey, I'm all for it. If America's always been about innovation, I'm not even going to say America. The world has always been about innovation. So why not come up with a different way, other types of currencies? Because currency doesn't always have to mean paper money. It doesn't have to mean this, right? It doesn't. It has to mean, look, going back into, the medieval times. Their currency was gold and silver coins, just chunks of gold and silver. Or it was other types of currency. Food was a type of currency in some eras of history. So why does it have to just be paper money? It doesn't. It doesn't have to be paper money. Not one bit of it. So yeah, there's could be this alternative currency, right? And then you keep the U.S. dollar or whatever, monetary icon we're going to use, but you can still say, oh, well, if Bitcoin's worth this much, if $69,000 of Bitcoin, if one Bitcoin can buy you one Bitcoin can buy you something worth $60,000 or $70,000 in value, then if you go to buy a $70,000 car, you could say to the dealership, here, I'll give you 1 Bitcoin for that car. Right? Now, the dealer, they don't have to take it because it's volatile. It trades. It goes up. It goes down. Like today, if there were car dealerships that accepted cryptocurrency, with the way Bitcoin has risen in the past week, somebody could walk in with 1 Bitcoin and buy an $80,000 car. Right? And then that guy, the dealer, he could hold on to it or he can sell it. And if it goes up even more, he then sells it and he makes a profit. I mean, he might not, be able to sell it for more than maybe 84, 85,000 because it's going to take a while for the market to go up. but he's still making $5,000 more profit off one Bitcoin. Think about the time when Papa John's was saying, we'll trade you 10,000 Bitcoin for one large pizza. Do you think the owner of Papa John's was stupid? Hell no. Do you know what 10,000 Bitcoin is worth today? I mean, seriously, that's insane, right? So if you go by 10,000 times, and I think it was 80,540 the last time I looked at, that's $805 million. So somebody 15 years ago paid $800 million for a fucking pizza. For a fucking pizza. You know what I'm saying? A fucking pizza. I just had a slice of pizza for lunch, which is kind of funny. But that wasn't from Papa John's. It was from a real pizzeria. Period. Anyways. So this crypto, supposedly, if you don't know about it, it's... For those of you that know about it, I'm not going to go into like detail, but just to give those who don't know, it's basically this alternative currency set. And I'm into it, and there's good and bad with it. You know, most of it's garbage. You know, it trades like a penny stock or Forex. You know, people create a new coin, it gets listed, it'll go up really, you know, for about 24 to 48 hours, and then it crashes. And then if that person that runs that coin can get it listed on CoinMarketCap, it goes up again, and then it crashes. So one of the things that can happen, though, is crypto can be stolen. And this is where the mass adoption becomes a problem. And it happened to me. Like, so at one point I was holding about $50,000 worth of Bitcoin, and somebody got into my wallet. And it was a cold storage wallet, so that really pissed me off. And they took everything. They took my Bitcoin, they took my HRM, they took my Pepe. I mean, they just completely taken off. In fact, in the year and a half plus I've been playing in crypto, I've probably lost, just in theft alone, $60,000. Now, that's not what I paid for it, but when it disappeared, that's about what the value was. And so, you know, I'm talking to my accountant, figuring out, okay, well, how do I deal with this? Because somebody just stole this much in crypto. And, you know, and in fact, that same crypto, at the time they stole the Bitcoin, it was worth 58,000, and now it's worth 80. Now, I didn't have an entire Bitcoin. I had like a smidgen of a Bitcoin, you know, like that little golden nugget you might find if you're shaking a, what do they call it, the sifter pan, and you're in one of those parks that say, oh, you know, you can get this much gold for go get whatever. So it was a smidge, but it was still worth at the time $2,220. But when I bought it, I paid $3,000 for it. So I lost on that. But that was when, you know, Bitcoin was starting to drop, and it was just a freaking nightmare. They took my BNB, which is a Binance coin. They took my Ethereum and a few others. So I got really distraught, and I was just like, I cleaned my wallet completely out, completely changed all the passwords to it. Whatever was left in there was mostly garbage anyways. And I just said, you know, I'm done. I'm done. I didn't go away from crypto, but I just said I'm not going to spend time investing in it. So I went into a newer blockchain that's building and coming up. And I just put everything in there. And what I have invested right now is just shy of $10,000. And it's all in one coin. And if this blockchain does what it's supposed to do, I could be rich. If it doesn't do what it's supposed to do, right now I'm not losing money. I'm kind of like right at even. And I've been in this for a couple of months, which is weird. Because usually when you buy this stuff, it either goes up and it goes down. But this one, it's such a new blockchain, and they're trying to develop and get people to build on this blockchain. It might be a success and it might not. But see, all of those, like Ethereum is a blockchain. So people create tokens on the Ethereum network, and then you can buy those tokens using Ethereum on the Ethereum blockchain. The other blockchains are Polygon, Solana, BNB. People create coins on those blockchains. Those coins then, they go public. They either become successful or they don't. And, 90% of the coins created are garbage. And it's because it's not regulated. And it doesn't matter what Trump promises. Crypto, it kind of just needs to regulate itself. Those of us getting in late to the game, we are most likely not going to turn into the billionaires that people who got in early, like 10, 15 years ago, are turning out to be. So, for instance, there was a guy who bought $23 worth of crypto, and that was in like October of 22, and by that January, it was worth $58,000. He cashed out $23 to 58 grand. I was like, why can't that happen to me? But, it's, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. Anyways, we're getting back on track here. So, anyways, this guy, Peter Schiff, and this is definitely geared towards the crypto people. Be really careful, because what he's saying is right. If you start a reserve, you have to maintain that reserve, or you risk crashing the value of it. Therefore, you end up causing the value of everything associated to it to crash. That means the money you had to print in order to buy more Bitcoin to maintain the reserve is going to crash, because now you're creating hyperinflation. The other thing I'm seeing a lot more and more of are families are at each other's throat over their vote. Like the biggest one is Jesse Waters' mom won't invite him to Thanksgiving. If those of you don't know, Jesse Waters is a Fox anchor like Sean Hannity. And his mother's not inviting him over because she was a Harris supporter, and she got tired of him constantly insulting her and things like that. And that's typical Fox News propaganda. And, Jesse should have known better, but, his paycheck was more important than his family. And I'm going to say he could have still voted for Trump. But, when your mother gets live on air with you and embarrasses you by saying, I don't like what your network does, I don't like that you're always mean-spirited, there's ways to report the news without being derogatory, and she's got a point. A lot of you that might view this video might be like me, Gen X, or you could be millennials, or you could be Gen Zers, and you didn't really get to see what the world was like when I grew up. The media was completely different back then. There was nobody like a Fox News. In fact, the first 24-hour news network was CNN, and they didn't even gain their prominence until the first Iraq War, Desert Storm. And because they were covering it 24/7, man, I knew family members, because I have family that serves in the armed services. I had aunts, uncles, people like my mother and her sister. They would have war parties, meaning they were just sitting and watching CNN all day. And like, oh my God, what's going to happen? What's going on? Because they were worried about family members who were serving in that war. Well, CNN, which was barely making it ends meet, suddenly just shot right up. And then it wasn't long after that we got MSNBC. And then MSNBC was followed by Fox. And Fox was different. And that stemmed from Roger Ailes, which he kind of really changed media to what it is today, and not in a good way. But the other part of it is these independent media people. This progressive independent ecosystem, as Brian Tyler Cohen calls it. They are upset because, like I said earlier in another video, Kamala wouldn't go on the smaller media shows. And they rely too heavily on that corporate established media to get the message out. And he's right. And I'm not going to knock these guys, because even I was tuned into most of them until today. I was tuned into Adam Mockler, David Parkman, Brian Tyler Cohen, Midas Touch. I got out of Midas Touch today. I was just so pissed off with everything they have said over the last 6 months. I said, you know what? You guys are so full of shit. I'm like, you have no idea what these are all lawyers, mind you, that have no idea what the fuck they're talking about. Right? So they're like, oh, I was a lawyer and I was a lawyer and this is what happened. And I said, well, if you guys were such these great lawyers, why are you doing a podcast now? And, and it took me a minute to realize, I'm like, they don't know fucking dick. Right? And they just built people up. And when the users, when they would say, hey, there's a real good chance Trump could win, the people that watched them were like, don't do that. You're killing my mood. And it's like, look, you got to take the truth. The truth is the race was as close as they were saying it was. And, a lot of these sites made it seem like Kamala was going to have this huge blowout. I even had a map prediction that I said Kamala would get 314 electoral votes and Trump would get 232. And funny, it's flipped the other way around. So I just picked the wrong horse. Am I pissed that Trump won? I'm not happy about it, which I've said in previous videos, but I'll give credit where if he turns things around, I'll say, okay, well, you know what? He made America's economy more booming, even though Joe's been doing it. It's just the way the Democrats handled it just didn't resonate to, the average working guy. But if it becomes better, prices become cheaper, got to give somebody credit, but I just don't see it happening. But hey, I've been wrong. I thought Kamala was gonna win. So, no shame in being wrong. You got to eat a little humble pie, but it is what it is. I can tell you, like, during his first term, I probably was in Facebook jail for most of 2017 and 2018. I think I was let out for maybe 4 days, both years. And now they changed it. So instead of completely kicking you off, because I have I think 2,000 followers on Facebook. And I think they started realizing with some people, giving them a complete 30-day ban wasn't helping things. So now they take you, you really have to fuck up to get a complete ban from Facebook, like where you can't log on for 30 days or whatever. Now they take your permissions away from groups. And I do belong to a lot of groups, but they're not political groups. They're not movement groups. They're groups for, the types of cars I drive, or their local, car sales or local yard sale groups. So it's not like my influence or anything. The people follow me because of that. They follow me for probably two reasons. Number one, I was an independent filmmaker at one time that made a couple of horror movies and an urban gangster film. The other part is most likely because I post a lot of memes. I post my opinion a lot. I always make it public. And, some people find it hysterical. I do get inbox messages like, dude, you're hilarious. Or some people say, I agree with you 100%. Yeah, fuck him and fuck everybody too. So, but I'm not a super engagement person. Like, even when I have friends, and I have like 1,200 Facebook friends, which, it's nice, but, I post something and they post a message, I don't always reply. I'll at least try to react to it and say I like it, or I find it funny, or, if it's something sad, I give the caring emoji. So, but, again, between media and all this other bullshit, and especially this crypto thing, people better be careful, because the more you start unpacking of what Trump said he was going to do, and if it starts looking like he's going to do it that way, it could be bad. And let's keep in mind, some of his voters are already getting pissed off with his cabinet picks, because he's like, no, I'm not going to bring in any neoconservatives, and that's exactly what he's doing. And these, they were interviewing some people today. It was like, well, I don't know why he's bringing this. He said he wouldn't do this, and I'm just like, and you believed him. You're a special kind of stupid, aren't you? Anyways, guys, thanks for sticking with me. It's a 20-minute video, a lot shorter than some of my other ones. And please leave a comment. I really would like to leave your comments, read your comments, and those that have left comments on previous videos, I have responded. and just hit the like button too. I'm not asking you to subscribe. Just hit the like button, and if you like the content, I'll keep going. And let me know. You can say I suck. I won't care. Have a good one. Bye-bye.